want to kiss him on the eye? Do you want to kiss him on the open eyeball?
On the open eyeball?
Yeah, do you want to lick his open eyeball? Why would you leave him? Why don't you lick his little open eyeball?
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, BBs. It is too early.
It sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
I love oil.
Today, we're going to be talking about big oil trying to sell to children. We're going to be talking about that Fantastic Four movie. Almost got that word out.
Yeah.
That is still happening.
It's still happening.
18 directors down.
We're going to talk about big things happening at CD Projekt Red.
We're going to be talking about the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein movie casting.
And also, I'm going to ask you right now, picture an apple in your head and just hold it there until we're ready to discuss.
Oh, good morning, everybody. It's good to see you. It's the start of a new week.
It's the start of a whole new week, Saige, and
Yeah.
I'm already tired.
Hey, me too.
Woo!
Anthony, you texted me a picture of ice cream, and then you texted me that you wanted to go to Michael's. Now, those were some very like Saige baiting texts, right?
Got nothing back.
Well,
Nothing back.
Did you listen to the voice note I sent back to you?
I did eventually listen to the voice. Okay.
So
Anthony. So what happened was I was sitting around and I was like, you know what the problem? I texted Saige. I said, you know what the problem with my house is? There's never any ice cream in it.
Yeah.
And then I heard nothing back. And then a couple hours later, I was like, no, don't worry, I'm fine, because I went out and I got ice cream and I texted you a picture of ice cream. So thank you for your concern for your friend. Thank you.
You wait until you hear what he didn't reply to.
Thank you for
Let's
your
keep going.
concern for your friend in my time of need when I needed you.
Yeah.
Because there was no ice cream in my house.
Yeah.
And I heard nothing from you. Nothing.
Horrible.
Then the next day I text you and I say, I have to go to Michael's. Which I was like, of course Saige is going to want to go to Michael's.
You said
they're going to have a bunch of broken leftover Halloween decorations that she's going to say, I can do something with this. It's broken, but I can do something with it. If they give me $5 off.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Halloween decorations at Michael's get worse every year. You can see more of the hot glue every single year. So now, instead of saying I can do something with this, I look around at all of them and I go, I could make that.
Whoa.
I could make that. And then I don't buy them and I make them.
Yeah.
Or I never make them.
So I text her, I'm going to Michael's. Because I had to go to Michael's because I was an adult and I did something that I've been putting off for 2 years. And I started hanging the art in my apartment.
Right.
And I didn't hear anything from Saige for a little while.
So weird.
So weird.
Now remember when Anthony
So she
said,
left me again. In my time of need, once again, I was left by Saige.
Yeah.
And listen to the fucking excuse she gives me.
I said, hey, I didn't respond because I fainted and hit my head and I've been unconscious.
Now, I didn't listen to that because that's an audio message. And when people send me audio messages, I don't listen. So I didn't listen to that until way, way, way later.
And then didn't respond. Did you ever listen to it?
Yeah.
So you knew this before I said this?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Of course I did.
You didn't listen to it, did you?
Think about audio messages.
You didn't listen. You still didn't know until right now.
No, I did. I listened.
Anyways.
But the thing about audio messages.
Yeah.
I don't listen to them. It takes me a long time.
I love an audio message.
Do you
I
really?
absolutely love it. When I have more than a few sentences to say, absolutely. Abria and I audio message because neither of us have the attention span to send a long text message. Yesterday morning, I got up and was going about my business. And then I was like, that's weird. I don't feel so good. And I had a stream that I was supposed to be doing, like a fundraiser stream on another channel. But unfortunately, I passed out at the top of a stone staircase. Didn't go down the stone staircase.
Where were you visiting a mountain village?
No. And I didn't go down the staircase.
A haunted castle?
Very lucky.
Okay.
I was very lucky I didn't go down the staircase.
Sure.
But I did in fact black out and got a little bonk on the noggin.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
But they're all personal questions on a friend level.
Yeah.
About your life right now.
Yeah.
And
We'll
I
talk
feel
after
like
the show.
maybe that's not.
Yeah, we'll talk after the show.
We'll talk after the show. But you're fine.
Yeah, I'm all right.
You're okay.
Should be fine.
All right.
I probably have to go to one of those
Picture an apple in
doctors.
your head.
I can see it.
Okay. Alex, how was your weekend?
Pretty good.
Nice.
Pretty great. I have been reading a lot this weekend, as I was talking to Anthony about. So I highly recommend, if you don't know Naomi Novik, amazing author, read anything that she's written. So good.
Right on.
What's the genre? Because I missed you guys' conversation.
Historical fantasy is what I was reading. She does a
Ooh.
lot of that. She also has recently put out some like female-led kind of fantasy books. There's one series called The Scholomance, which is a dark wizard castle. I would say a much better turf magical school.
Right.
In my opinion.
When I hear Scholomance, I'm immediately like, let's go dark academia here.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun.
Really great.
You were saying that the one that you're reading right now is about the Napoleonic Wars, but there are dragons.
Yes.
I love that. I love the exact mix of history wonk and fantasy wonk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like when somebody gets that right, it's real good.
It's really interesting because the way that different countries' cultures interact with dragons is a big theme of the books. So it's actually both about the Napoleonic Wars and like rights for dragons.
I love the idea of like, okay, it's the 1800s. How would this country treat a dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Incan dragons, Chinese dragons. It's awesome.
Ooh, okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Well, I suppose we should do some news, shall we? Yeah. Let's start with the...
Meh.
No? You want to just call it?
Meh.
Do you want to talk about something other than news or just you want to end it?
I don't want to.
Guys, you might be familiar with the big oil corporation Shell.
Yep.
You probably are if you're an adult that drives a car or if you're a child that spends money on V-Bucks.
Yeah. This is very interesting. You know, one of the largest things on the minds of Gen Z and Gen Alpha, according to a lot of research and polls, is, of course, climate change.
Yeah, this thing that's going to just absolutely in an imbalanced way affect Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
Yeah. We've officially
as we've made the planet uninhabitable.
Yeah, we've officially reached the point where people can no longer say, well, I'll be dead when it gets really bad.
Yo, have you been seeing people walking by that like clock? And I don't know where this is. It's on the side of a building that's like the countdown.
Oh, the
until
doomsday clock.
Yeah, the doomsday
Yeah.
clock. I got a couple of TikToks recently of people walking by it and like explaining to somebody that they're with, like, oh no, that's when climate change becomes irreversible. Like that's the countdown until our damage to the planet becomes irreversible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. And of course, there have been a lot of efforts to sort of erase the fact that climate change is happening. A very interesting tweet I saw going around that had way too much traction was somebody in government saying, hey, you remember how they were talking so much about the hole in the ozone layer and then they just, all of a sudden, they just stopped talking about it? Forgetting that was because we had signed the Montreal Agreement.
Yeah, they put in active work to shrink the hole in the ozone layer.
To remove like CFCs. And so
Yeah.
we're getting to the point where living memory is non-existent for a lot of this stuff that happened.
Yeah.
And so Shell is trying to really take advantage of this and make gasoline very cool to the youth.
Woo! So in doing so, they have sponsored a map in Fortnite and creators to talk about that map in Fortnite. They're doing the Shell stations, whoa.
Seashells.
Shells.
One sock cutter, he cuts socks. Two sock cutters, they cut socks. Three sock cutters, they cut socks. Four sock cutters, they cut socks. Five sock cutters, they cut socks. Six.
I didn't say the bad one at least.
No, you didn't say the bad one.
I just lost count.
That's okay.
Okay, so it is the Shell Stations road trips. map in Fortnite, and they are also sponsoring TikTok creators to talk about how cool it is that you can play with Shell gas stations.
So these are sponsored streams and TikToks that have reached over 5.5 million people that are basically like, yo, let's go to the super cool custom Shell map where as you're doing things on the map, you occasionally have to take your cool Fortnite Jeep back to the Shell station to refuel.
Shell's V-Power Nitro Premium Gasoline.
I'm sorry, Saige. It's V-Power Nitro Plus. We've moved on from V-Power Nitro.
Oh.
True gas heads know. Where are my gas heads at? Gas is cool. Big oil rules.
Oil boys, what up?
We're oil boys here. We're oil boys here on the show. Yeah, you can see some of these. Some of the streamers were Punisher, Nate Hill, Chica, Brooke AB. I mean, these are not small streamers by any means.
No.
Ghost Woe has this lovely tweet that I pulled up. It's like, all road trips start with at Shell Stations US, and you can journey across 6 of the most beautiful terrains to experience the Shell Ultimate Road Trips. Fuel up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline and hit the road.
Is there, Alex, can you look and see if there's a video of like driving around on the map? There is? Oh my God.
Thank you.
Is it on that tweet? Am I just missing it? I don't know.
Yeah, let's take a look at some cool video.
Yeah, it's just an image.
There we go.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah. Level up your car, baby.
Yeah, so it was described in this Kotaku article as like being like a beautiful road trip map with the occasional sad, weird standalone gas station in it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You have to stop at the Shell station periodically or you cannot continue.
Look at the Shell branded ramps.
Yeah. It's a lot like, it looks like a Trackmania ripoff, sort of.
How is this Fortnite? Is this?
Yeah, it's a Fortnite creator map. Now that the creator editor is out, all kinds of people are making all kinds of wonderful things with it because
Looks like shit.
much like Fortnite said, oh, do the kids like a battle royale? Well,
Yeah.
we're a battle royale now.
Yeah.
They looked at Roblox and they said, oh, do we need to be exploiting creators? We should really be exploiting creators.
It's weird that we haven't been doing that.
I mean, we've been stealing like signature dances and sort of styles and things like that from creators for years. But how can we get the creators to make stuff for us and then take it from them?
Yeah.
And they figured it out.
And Shell said, look, we've been ruining the youth's lives in all these other ways. Let's try a new one.
Shell was like, look, we're off spending $100,000 to put a Shell station party zone in the metaverse. So we are fine with spending money.
Okay, so we got asked by Kia in the live studio audience, said, what's worse, oil bros or crypto bros? Now,
Yes.
crypto bros, really annoying to talk to, doing some damage to the planet for sure.
Yes.
Oil is killing us all.
Yeah, oil's number one.
So I'm gonna go with oil bros. I'm gonna go with, because oil bros are not crypto bros in that like they're gonna talk to you about it at a party. They're just going to like lobby against your like next generation having a future.
Oil bros quietly have the money crypto bros wish they had.
Yeah.
And they are using it to control the government.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I'm gonna say oil bros probably worse.
Also, I'm gonna say, Shell, where were you? You know we're looking for sponsors. You know, listen, you know we'll shill. We'll shill for Shell.
What are we?
She shills Shell by the seashore. I'll do it.
Girl boss.
I'll do it. Listen, I have no morals or scruples when it comes to paying my rent. I'm not allowed to.
Me and the girlies, we don't go to the beach. We go to the seashore.
We go to seashore. Listen, I'll do what it takes to pay that rent, and if it means I'm gonna tell. Does Shell have an adorable mascot right now? Is it just the Shell?
I don't think they do. They put the Shell logo on the banana man.
Yeah, in the Fortnite Banana Man. Oh, here's a Shell. This is a free idea. Call up Jenny Slate, Marcel, the Shell oil station.
You got shoes.
You got the kids, and now you can get like the elder millennial crowd.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They love that shit. Speaking as one of them. Listen, this is really bad. This is extremely bad. According to Media Matters, which did all the research on this, 6 streamers with a combined Twitch following of 5.5 million promoted Shell's campaign, and during the sponsored streams garnered 1 million views.
Horrifying.
3 of these influencers promoted the sponsored Twitch streams on other social media platforms such as Instagram and TikTok. Combined, the streamers have 8 million TikTok followers and 1.2 million Instagram followers.
Jesus Christ.
3 other content creators outside of Twitch promoted the campaign in several videos across YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. These influencers have a combined 1.5 mil on Instagram, 8.5 mil on TikTok, and 11.6 mil on YouTube. These things, they got views. And
yeah, they did.
And here's what I'll say. You might say, oh, it's okay. Like,
no, I won't.
You might say, it's okay. Like, kids know that, like, oil is bad. They know that climate change is bad. They know. Did you see the way cigarettes just came right back as vapes?
Right.
Did you see the way cigarettes just came right the fuck back as vapes?
It's just so interesting because it's like, we know that we have laws in place about advertising to children. And we all just go, no, they're not. They're not advertising to children. It's just a YouTube video and it's not technically labeled for kids, so they're not advertising to children.
Well, and the other thing is
anyone can play Fortnite.
These creators kind of dial into that in a way YouTubers have always dialed into it, in a way even like old school media and magazines would dial into it, which
we
is
don't
like,
make things for kids.
That's right. My channel's not for kids. Cosmopolitan is not for teenagers, it's for adult women.
Sure.
Right?
Even though you know by looking at your age demographic that your audience is primarily by a massive margin children.
Yeah.
Even though you know that the content that you're making is intentionally stylized to be appealing to children.
But a lot of these, and a lot of these, particularly these like gamer bro streamers, don't want to admit it, particularly because they're bros and they don't want to be making kid stuff. They're like, but also
it's more
they
than
know
that
if there's a more insidious side of it on the larger side of these creators, which is, okay, we're making things for kids, but don't say that it's for kids, because if we say that it's for kids, then we're going to have to jump through all these hoops and follow all these rules.
Correct.
And things are just going to get tough. And listen, adults watch it too.
Yeah.
So we don't need to say it's for kids.
We don't need to say that.
If kids happen to watch it, it's like if kids happen to watch a horror movie. It's not for kids, but it's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all.
No.
You're clearly targeting children.
There are so many people that have done breakdowns of all of these content creators that do these kinds of, like, that have these conversations where they're like, my audience isn't, like, I don't make things for kids. Where it's like, A, we can see the demographic of your audience. B, you can go through and point out all of the stylized elements of it that people are doing specifically to be appealing to children. The like hyper dramatized silliness to it, the like stylized color of it, the like jump cuts and energy and the way that they talk down to people. It's clearly for children.
Yeah, even things like you watch a lot of those relationship channels. The relationship channels are for children that don't know anything about relationships. It's like
it's freaky.
The prank channels that are for kids, and the like, oh, I pranked my girlfriend, or oh, did she cheat on me? Like kids are way too obsessed with whether adults are cheating on each other in a way that I did not understand when I was a kid.
No, because here's the thing. So like I am so the target demographic of when YouTube family vloggers started.
Yeah.
And what someday we're gonna have to all talk about is that YouTube family vloggers were initially probably primarily watched by kids who had bad families.
Yep.
Because like as somebody who grew up watching like Shay Carl and a bunch of those like early YouTube vloggers, that's weird. I was, let's see, it's 2007 probably. So I was 12.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing is they are marketing. I mean, they were essentially sitcoms.
Yeah.
It was essentially sitcoms for kids who were growing up.
Yeah.
In the YouTube age.
Right. It was a fun little fiction where parents are nice.
And it's just like, I mean, it's like the Paul brothers when they were making music videos.
Yeah.
That were clearly aimed towards children.
Yes.
Telling children to buy their merch, which is something that like the FCC says you can't do on TV.
You cannot tell children to buy things. I mean, it's the thing that we saw and I talk about all the time from Neopets, where they were like, we're integrated marketing to children. Let's copyright it. My earrings keep dinging.
Your scythes just keep hitting and it's
killing
making
me.
a perfect
I'm gonna take
tuning
this
fork
off.
note.
I know. It is very distracting to me, and it is why I keep stumbling on my words because I keep hearing a little ding in my ears.
Yeah.
Fun fact. We're taking the
Just
necklace
think of it
off.
as positive reinforcement. You're saying good
Anyways.
things. Ding.
But yeah, Sierra Misto as well in the live studio audience said, I grew up watching family vloggers because I had a dysfunctional family. It was one
Yeah.
of those things that was this like fantasy of like, oh, this is a real family that loves each other. Obviously, we've seen what happened with a lot of those family vloggers
Woof.
and what that turned out to be. And we've seen a lot of commentary about how horrific it is to blast your children on the internet in any capacity. But it's not other parents watching this. And it wasn't a bunch of, people Jake Paul's age watching Jake Paul. It was younger.
I mean, you can say that now there's an older audience, and some of these channels are for who they are marketing to, but it overwhelmingly that is still not true.
Yeah.
The majority of it is still not true. I mean, most YouTube content or any like video content online is, and will continue to be sort of aspirational because it's different than TV. There's that personal parasocial connection,
Right.
where it's like, think about the number of people when Casey Neistat was the biggest thing in the world. Think about how many channels just came up that were just kids wearing sunglasses wanting to be Casey Neistat.
Oh, yeah.
Like tons of them.
You know what's interesting is we're seeing a lot less family vloggers these days. We're seeing a lot less people that's content is their children. And do you know why? If you put your children in videos now, those videos cannot be monetized any longer.
Yep.
YouTube put in place what I think is an incredibly effective policy.
Been amazing. It's been amazing.
Genuinely phenomenal. Like props to YouTube for putting this in place. It automatically either filters or turns off comments and becomes unmonetizable. There are definitely people dancing around that for sure, but the majority of family channels that show their children are now completely demonetized.
I mean, it makes sense because of all of the horrible things, like you're saying, that we saw with giant family channels like 8 Passengers, the
Oh my
Ace Family.
There's
Shay
been a couple
Carl,
of big ones in the news recently
like
that we're
all
not
of
going to
those.
touch on because we're not qualified. But
the thing is, when you come back to this with these huge media and ad buys, we all know that we're at a point now in human history where we understand integrated marketing. And we know that integrated marketing is usually pretty nefarious.
yes,
And obviously advertising is the way that content makes money, but there are ways to do it. And the thing that I hate about this is I know how huge the paycheck probably was for this.
I know.
Because when you're asking, why are these people doing this, even if you have the tiniest bit of a conscience, and it's easy to say these people have no conscience, which some of them don't.
Probably.
Some of them don't. But there's also, when you get that large, there are business people that are handling it, that are telling you what is dangerous, what is not dangerous to do, and is also kind of explaining things to you in terms of, look, if you take this one, you're good for X, for X, where X is years or whatever. And a lot of people they're like, all right, I'll do one and then we're good. I remember being at Revision 3 at Discovery, and we had an entire month of the show sponsored by the fucking Army.
That was one of the other things I was going to bring up.
And I said, no, I don't want to host anything that's sponsored by the Army. And they were like, well, you want a job, right? You have a job. I was like, and we had to work to be like, well, if this is going to happen, because honestly, like it got to the point where I was screaming and yelling about it so bad that like the head of the company sat me down and was like, I'm going to be very real with you. Like if we take this, everybody gets paid for the next 8 months.
Yes.
If we don't take it, the next couple quarters look really dicey. And I was like, fuck. And I mean, like, that's manipulative.
Right. Which
but-
was probably bullshit because they could have taken any other deal.
I mean, it was a huge deal. The amount of money, like these things like the Army, things like the armed forces, things like oil companies, these giant, back in the day, tobacco companies, like all of these huge companies, like they will pay you so much because they know.
Yeah.
They know what your conscience is telling you. And I had to work so hard to be like, how do we minimize this? Because they initially wanted like, hey, can we do like the science of the Army? And we're like, no, the science of the Army is bad.
Right. We can. You're not going to like it.
But the thing, I would like to think that if I was one of these large creators, I would be able to just go, No, we'll find it somewhere else.
Here's the thing. Every content creator that you watch that has any audience has turned down a brand deal. Everyone has. Everyone has. And I understand that money is manipulative and that money is power and that we live in late stage capitalism, which everybody is trying to survive. But at the end of the day, every time that an opportunity comes my way that is truly and genuinely like against my moral code.
Yeah.
What you're really looking at the options are, even if it's like, this is make or break money for me, it is, would I rather go and get a normal job or take this brand deal and keep, making content full time? And I'm team, go get a fucking normal job
Go get a
then,
job for a
because you
little
don't
while.
have to be a content creator. That is always optional. And if the options are selling big oil to children or having to take a job that maybe makes you less happy than making YouTube videos or whatever, I'm sorry, I'm not selling oil to children.
Yeah.
At companies like that where you are just a host there, it's a very different dynamic than an individual content creator with a YouTube channel, a TikTok account, whatever, a Twitch channel.
Yeah.
Some of these people have teams. Most don't. Most have a team that tells them, that gives them business advice, but it's not like, oh, there's a bunch of people on my payroll that I'm responsible for.
No,
That's very
I mean, it's
rare
gonna
for
be
like an individual's, TikTok account.
No, somebody who's these creators have probably like a manager,
yeah.
and like maybe somebody who does like ad sales and stuff for them.
Yeah.
But the other thing is when you get to the point of these creators where you are looking at like a few million followers, things like that. The oil companies, the army, the oil companies, the big companies like this come to you with these huge integrations because you're already popular, you're already making money.
Yeah.
And so while this may be the big bag, the biggest bag, it's like there are other ones and you're already making money and you're already more comfortable than most people.
Yes.
And I remember like really loving, there are a few things throughout my life where I really, before they made ads, before they made it so ads could not be directly targeted to children if it was not children's products.
Yeah.
There were a few things where I'm just like, I remember thinking Joe Camel was cool.
Sure.
I remember, thinking the Chevron claymation cars that were made by Aardman.
Yeah.
They were made by the Wallace and Gromit people.
Yeah.
Those were adorable cars.
We had little cars in our house.
Yeah, I remember thinking those characters were cool. And it does soften your opinion towards these companies.
How much of your childhood is remembered by jingles on television? That like you would hear a lot, or by mascots that you were used to seeing in commercials. So much of your
Energizer
childhood
Bunny.
is actually like contained by and remembered by advertising.
Yeah. If you think about like the biggest property in the world right now is Mario, right? Like it's character marketing.
It is.
For children. And slapping the shell logo on the Fortnite Banana Man is rough. Now, Fortnite and Epic will be able to sort of sidestep this because it's a creator map.
Yep.
They didn't make it. It's like Roblox. It's like
we're not a game, we're a platform.
Doing what Roblox is doing is giving Epic the plausible deniability that Roblox now has.
Yeah.
When things are hosted on their platform that are, some of them are like CP, some of them are like really, really disgusting things.
Yeah.
And then some of them are just like literal casinos, and all of this stuff, Roblox gets to go, that's creator made.
We didn't have any part
That's
in that.
creator made. We didn't do that.
We're just a platform.
We just take 20%. We don't know what we're taking 20% of. That's cool.
That's none of our business.
That's cool and normal, right? To take 20% of business activity without knowing what it is. If you don't want to, listen, I just take my cut and I don't know what's going on. I don't ask any questions. Nobody's ever said that that's done anything bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is really horrible. I hate it.
Les Tastic in the live studio audience said ads shouldn't be allowed during children's shows. There's so many things that child me wanted because of TV commercials. Children are too easily manipulated.
For a very long time, you weren't allowed to. For a very long time, if you were watching a children's show, the ads were for parents.
Yeah.
And then fucking Ronald Reagan.
Welcome to the inevitable result of almost every news story Reagan ruined it.
Fucking Ronald Reagan said, hey, it's cool. Just don't advertise for the exact show. The Ninja Turtles can't sell Ninja Turtles toys, but they can sell other toys.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Because that's not a conflict of it. It's still advertising to children.
I think we should get a little stinger that pops in here for every time that something is a result of Ronald Reagan.
You got Reaganed?
Yeah. Something like that.
Oh, man.
We're gonna have to make a little animated stinger that pops in
We
here.
should get the...
Because damn, do we end up talking about how many things Ronald Reagan fucked up often?
We should get the Ronald Reagan from Back to the Future 2.
Nice.
The Max Headroom Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And he should just pop up right back here.
Yeah.
He should just take over the screens. We should just get little Ronald Reagan from Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
I hear Alex furiously Googling Back to the Future 2. Stop reminding me of my own death, Alex.
I know the movie. I was just gonna pull up a funny
Yeah.
picture.
You know the movie. Just like
Heard of it.
just like I listen to audio messages. It's fine. It's fine. Go ahead and look up what happens in Back to the Future 2. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna take my insulin. I don't know. I'm just thinking of like older person problems.
The fact that there is a Ronald Reagan page on the Futurepedia, that there's a wiki page for Ronald Reagan, is very funny. And it talks about, his history behind the scenes.
Good and correct. Absolutely makes sense.
Ronald fucking Reagan. Let's move on from Ronald Reagan.
Okay. There's so many things here that I want to talk about. It's hard
Should
to
we
choose
stay?
what's next.
Let's stay in sort of businessy and
Let's
workers.
stay businessy and
Let's
workers.
stay businessy and workers, and let's talk about CD Projekt Red.
A portion of the CD Project Red staff is forming a union because, everybody's getting laid off.
Here's a cool thing about
Mm-hmm.
CD Projekt Red. They overworked all of their people for about a decade to make Cyberpunk 2077. They paid everybody in tokens, in bonus tokens. You remember that?
Oh, we'll never forget the bonus tokens.
We'll never forget the bonus tokens.
Everyone did get actually paid their salaries, but in addition to that, instead of it being like, here's your bonus, it was in tokens that you could trade in.
You could redeem them. Look, there's nothing better than a company store. You don't even have to leave when there's a company store. It's so convenient. So there were about 100 people were let go in the 2023 wave after the release of Cyberpunk. Now, Cyberpunk, of course, did a lot of brand damage to CD Projekt Red, but when you look at their financials, it didn't do financial damage.
No, everybody bought it before they realized the game was bad, and then people just spent another $70 or another like $60. What was it on the?
On
40?
On Phantom Liberty, I think it's $30 or $40.
think it's 40.
It's DLC. It's
Yeah,
DLC price.
DLC prices. 70 on the game initially, and then an additional $30-$40 on the DLC.
Just a tight $100 for a working game.
Right.
So they made a lot of money.
Yep.
Not only did they make a lot of money, but Phantom Liberty cost $84 million to release and market. They did it over the last year, the majority of the work, which means those people made the game, fixed the game, and then were let go.
Yeah.
$84 million, by the way, was about half the total cost of the original game. Phantom Liberty, to fix Cyberpunk, cost 50%
Of the original game budget.
original game's budget, and they're still making money.
Yep.
And this is why they are unionizing.
So in a statement, the FAQ from the group that is unionizing said that we started talking about unionizing after the 2023 wave of layoffs when about 9% of CD Projekt Red's people were let go. This event created a tremendous amount of stress and insecurity affecting our mental health and leading to the creation of this union in response. Having a union means more security, transparency, better protection, and a stronger voice in times of crisis. And we are certainly in crisis in the video games industry.
Yeah, they want everybody to join this union. Basically, they're saying, hey, this is the CD Projekt Red union, but we want to invite other people from throughout the industry. Like, if you need to unionize, like, let's make sure that we're making a strong union for people in game development.
Yeah.
And this is a huge, huge thing.
I think this is a great statement on it here. The organizers say that they're doing this as a way to preserve game developers, that game developers tend to be creatives that burn out early and switch industries. They say trade unions are especially important for game devs, as most people come here out of passion, and passion can be easily exploited, leading to working long hours, lower pay, and eventually burning out. A union is meant to minimize all of the above, letting your passion grow and thrive instead of using it as fuel.
I've seen so many people in the games industry who are brilliant, brilliant people, doing amazing things, who within 5-7 years just can't anymore.
Yeah.
And they leave and they're like, I got into games and it's what I wanted to do my entire life. And now it's not. And I'm just going to go work a job that, and like, listen, going and working a job that just treats you well and is just a career, there's nothing wrong with that. There's actually everything right with that.
Yeah.
Your job does not need to define your life and shouldn't define your life. But it's so hard to see people who had this passion in their life for this one thing. And then when they leave it, they don't have a passion in their life anymore.
No, a lot of people are destroyed by it.
Yeah, robbing people of wanting to go to work and having just a day job that treats you well is good and cool. But when you're doing it because somebody like literally took your dream from you and now you can't think of another dream, that's horrible. Heartbreaking.
It is. It's that concept of where people say, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And creatives consistently respond, no, do something you love and you will think about it and work on it every fucking waking hour of your day to a degree well beyond you ever should for something that is a job or career.
Can I tell you the first time I ever heard something like that and it stuck with me forever? There was a season of The Real World.
Okay.
In Miami. And it was the first season where they had to do something. Like MTV was like, we're going to give you this money and you have to create a company with it. Decide what you want to do. Start a business, start a charity, start whatever you want, but you have to agree on it and do it. They never did. They could never figure out what they wanted to do. But they had like all of these $1 million fish tanks all over the house, you know, like, cause it was just this gorgeous house that MTV put them in. And there was a guy who came once a week who like cleaned and fed the fish.
Yeah.
And one of the roommates asked him, was like, oh, hey, so how did you get into this? He's like, oh, I've always loved fish. I think they're beautiful. I love learning about the ocean ecosystem and like all this stuff. And it makes me happy to like, you know, to see them thrive. And it's like, oh, wow. So yeah, like, so you really love your job. He's like, no, I hate my job. He's like, absolutely do not make what you love your job. Don't do it. He's like, find a day job and then have a hobby and love your hobby. He's like, I don't look at anything the same way anymore. And I remember being like, I don't know how many years old, just like a kid and watching it being like, it was like the first time I saw my mom cleaning the inside of a garbage can. I was like, you have to clean a garbage can?
It's where the trash
That's
goes.
where the trash goes.
Yeah.
What the fuck is broken about life?
Hey guys, oops. Go to patreon.com/pixels. Because I made my favorite thing a job.
Whoops, we're both doing what we love, and it's gonna kill us. The heads of the studio were speaking to Le Monde, basically the French version of the New York Times, and said, one of them, Adam Badowski, said, I don't know if unions can contribute anything to the industry, and we should work to find our own solutions to problems in the industry. This is the biggest fucking thing that executives say.
I love this new angle on it of like, hey guys, if all your friends jumped off of a bridge, would you? If all your friends were unionizing, look, you don't have to unionize just because it's trendy.
No,
kids.
listen, I'm a fair king. Listen, we don't need to put things, there's no need for a Magna Carta. What we're gonna do is if you have a problem, you just come to me. We talk it out. I'm a fair and just king.
Yeah.
If you're hurting, I'm hurting, and we'll just fix it. And we don't need to do petty little things like documents or organizations that sort of give you power that doesn't even begin to rival mine, but still makes me nervous.
No.
That's weird.
Hey, who needs collective bargaining
Ugh.
when you have bargaining alone with me?
Yeah, bargaining alone with me, and please don't tell anybody else what we've been bargaining about.
Yeah.
It's actually considered rude of you to tell other workers what you've been bargaining about. What's wrong with that? I'm a good king.
Yo, I was going through some of my videos on my computer the other day, and I came across a video that I had taken because I was doing an HR meeting with a bad company, and they wouldn't put it in writing. And I, at the beginning of the meeting, was like, "Hey, so this meeting is because I asked specifically for at the beginning of our previous meeting, I said, hey, can you put this all in writing after?" And they were like, absolutely, we can. And then you refused to do it, and she was like, yeah, we actually can't do that because it references we talked about other people in the meeting, so we can't give you a version of the last meeting in writing.
We actually can't do that because hand hurt and grip pen so hard.
And I was like, okay, so then can I record this? And she was like, I mean, I don't see. And I was like, can I record it? Can I record this meeting?
Yeah.
And she was like, I mean, sure, whatever. And I was like, okay, now explain to me again why you can't put anything that we say in writing.
And all of a sudden, when it's being recorded, they can't explain it anymore.
Hey, I'm going to be honest. Still sounded like a fucking fool.
Yeah.
It's wild. I was sitting there listening to them being like, well, other people are mentioned. I was like, okay, redact their names.
Yeah, it's fine.
They're like, there's company secrets. And I said, redact the secrets.
Yeah, I just need in writing things that pertain to me.
And literally it just kept coming back to, they just kept going, well, I don't know what to tell you. I just can't do it.
Just can't do it.
I just can't do that. I just can't put it in writing.
I actually never learned to read. So don't you feel bad for calling me out now on my failings. And maybe this meeting is about you and your conduct. And maybe I should record it, but I'm not. And neither one of us should record it. Because that's weird. It's weird.
Wild. It was absolutely wild. Refused to put anything in writing and just kept saying, and because they knew they were being recorded, they just kept going, well, I just can't. And I'd go, why? And they go, I can't.
It's why one of the other co-founder, Marcin Iwinski, was even more dismissive of unions in Lamont. And he said, releasing a game each time is like sending people to Mars. But if there are unions, what do? We don't take off? Originally, unions were created to protect badly paid workers, right? These people are not badly paid workers. These are highly qualified professionals. And this is another thing that anti-union people say too, right? Which is like, well, we don't make you work around the vats of lie anymore. We don't make you sweep up the vats of lie with no safety railings anymore. Like, we don't make the children stick their arms into the machines. So why do you need a union?
Why do you need a union?
It's weird.
I love saying...
We let you wear t-shirts on Friday. Why do you need a union?
I love people outing themselves like this and being like, well, we couldn't make the games if you were all treated fairly.
Yeah. How would we do it?
How would we go to Mars if you all expect fair pay and good workplace conditions and guarantees of safety? We're trying to go to Mars here.
Yeah, we're trying to go to Mars, and
we can't do that if you expect to be us to be held accountable.
Yeah,
that's not fair to us as kings.
It's not fair to me. You're sweet, lovable king. Hey, can we bring up my screen real quick? This is the best Sonic. This is the best Sonic. I love this Sonic.
What does the Sonic say?
The Sonic says, I want shorter games with worse graphics made by people who are paid more to work less, and I'm not kidding.
Woo!
If you can't make Cyberpunk 77 in 10 years, destroying 1,000 people, then you can't make Cyberpunk 77. You're not allowed.
Here's what it is.
Nothing you do is worth the destruction of people.
It would be okay if Cyberpunk 2077 never existed. It would be just fine. We would all be just fucking fine.
Yeah. It would change nothing.
Nothing.
I'd have $70 extra.
It is the thing that people always have this idea of like, well, but my creative thing deserves to exist. And I'm sorry. If it requires harming anyone, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Your creativity is harmful and bad. I think that's okay to say. Look, nothing that you want to create should come at the expense of others. If it does, think of a cooler, better idea that doesn't hurt people.
Figure it out. The amount of people that are like, oh, but like, you know, we're like a real ragtag team that really want to make something. Okay, well, that sucks.
Yeah, it's like, okay, but then,
hey,
let me ask you something. When this ragtag team makes something and it turns out to be wildly successful, who reaps those rewards. Everybody on the team, right?
Everybody gets like a ownership.
Everybody on the
owns
team
their
equally.
production. Yeah.
Right? That's cool. Like, that's all right.
Everybody owns their contribution.
Certainly, it wouldn't just be like two founders who make like $1 billion in Bolt, right?
No.
After making everybody work 80 hours a week and just like, don't worry, we're almost there. Pizza Friday. Fucking Pizza Friday,
there's
everybody.
bagels on Thursdays.
There's bagels here.
Hey, let's keep going and talking about people working at game dev studios because I want to talk about the ex-Gollum devs.
Gollum, which I think we've decided already preemptively is the Pixel Circus 2023 Game of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so.
Like, it's Gollum.
Yeah, it's probably Gollum.
I love to watch.
We've got another 2 months, but
yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to make another game where Smeagol planks?
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
I doubt it. So here's something that is interesting. Now, the headline is Lord of the Rings Gollum apology was written by ChatGPT. And that is part of this. So you may remember immediately after the release of the game, the developers put out an apology for the game, which was hilarious. It was in May of 2023, I believe. March or May of 2023. And as soon as it released, it was like, we know the game's bad.
It's bad. We're so sorry.
We're sorry. We should not have put out a game that was this bad. They were committed to releasing it and that they were going to make it better. So this is just what it is for right now.
Yeah.
Now, former Dalek staff members have come forward now saying that apology was actually written by ChatGPT. They didn't even write the apology.
Now, this makes a lot of sense to me because if you remember, I have the apology brought up here. There were like typos in it. Do you remember? Like there were typos in the sentences, like they had misspelled like Lord of the Rings and stuff.
No, they didn't.
It was wild.
They did not. You got to check that.
It is Lord of the Rings, Gollum.
Yeah, they said the Lord of the Ring.
Gollum, the Lord of the Ring? He's the one?
He's the one Lord of the Ring.
Well, I mean, hey, look, the one ring.
Yeah.
Lord of the Ring.
The Lord of the Ring. There are no more rings by the time it starts. They're always talking about the one ring. Which ring? That one.
I've never seen this. There could be one ring.
There could be one ring.
Kind of thought there was.
So yeah, there were like weird typos and strange things in it that people noticed. And they were like, how did they put out this? Even the apology has bugs.
Yeah.
Turns out it was written by the ChatGPT.
Oh my God. God, that is so funny. Now, there's a lot of things in here that talk about how the team was just set up for failure, about how everything about it was just like unrealistic. And even though there were wonderful devs working on it, that there was just like no chance they could have ever made something good with what they were given.
Yes.
Which is a very, very valid thing. But something else that I found interesting, and this ties in with a TikTok that I received yesterday. I got a TikTok yesterday that was talking about how like people are leaving jobs and all of these things. And, you know, how a lot of bosses are like, whoa,
Yeah.
why do you got to unionize against me?
Yep.
And
No,
about
oh no.
how, Anthony, a spill. Oh no.
It's okay.
It's okay.
All the
Because I spill so often, I have paper towels.
all the executives are like, wait, please don't leave. Won't somebody think of the commercial real estate?
And something very interesting that somebody said in this TikTok, and I'll try to pull it up and post it in the Discord for y'all, is companies used to buy loyalty with things like pensions, with things like your 401k, with things like job security in general. And now that companies are no longer buying loyalty of their employees, these employees are heading out and saying, fuck you. And now all your employees are your narcs.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you created this.
You did it.
You have now all kinds. I mean, we see so frequently, whether they've left or just putting out anonymous statements while they still work there, of being like, hey guys, here's what's happening behind the scenes at this dev studio, and it's fucking rancid in there, y'all. You're making toxic work environments and people are going to speak up. If you're not awful, you don't have anything to hide. But in addition to that, they're not buying loyalty anymore, fam. Congratulations. Everyone that works for you is a narc now because you don't pay them well enough.
Yeah.
They're going to have to, if they're having to, at any point in the day, if they're having to think about other ways that they're going to make money, how they're going to pay their bills, and if they have the opportunity to potentially help and assist in that, they can and should take it. You owe your employer nothing because your employer offers you nothing in that. They do not offer you. I mean, we talked recently about how in Japan, employers are set up to employ for life.
Yeah.
They expect that once they hire somebody into a position, unless extraordinary circumstances, they anticipate that that person will grow with that company forever.
Now, listen, does that tie into a lot of weird Japanese cultural stuff where your employer like can shame you for all kinds of health issues. Yeah, there are things that are connected to it, but
Absolutely.
on the baseline there,
You have job security.
You have
There is
security.
the expectation that they will take care of that person forever, and that is their responsibility. Even with like long, bouts of needing to leave or something, you are guaranteed that that job will be there when you come back. Things like that are like legally mandated that they have to do.
I mean, even like, even in Europe compared to the US, like I've heard of so many friends in Europe who are like, I got hired for this job. And I told them that for the first 2 months of that job, I'd be like gone.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We'll just hire you on because you're the person we want.
Yep.
And if we wait 2 months, we wait 2 months.
Yep.
And there's no reason to be loyal to a company or an employer.
A company or an employer that has no loyalty to you will receive none in return.
Yeah.
And that's completely fair. It's the expectation of the 2-week notice in one direction and not the other. It is the at-will employment that is in most contracts in the United States now. It's things like that that prevent people from staying at companies for a long time. It's a lack of, I'm not building towards a 401k, a pension, a retirement plan of any kind because companies aren't offering it most of the time, or at least not offering it in a way that is incentivizing.
But Saige, please bring up my screen. You gonna leave this boy? You gonna leave this boy with his big wet eyes?
So wet.
His big wet eyes and his weird wet hair?
Yeah, he's got a real wet forehead.
You gonna leave this wet forehead behind? He got a little sandy on his cheek. You gonna help him? You gonna rub a little sandy off his cheek? Why would you leave him?
He's so gross.
Don't leave the boy. He's going to plank through an entire level. You don't want to see?
So gross.
He's
I love
gross.
it. He's gross.
Do you want to kiss him on the eye? Do you want to kiss him on the open eyeball?
on the open eyeball?
Yeah, do you want to lick his open eyeball? Why would you leave him? Why don't you lick his little open eyeball?
He's a little not sticky.
He's clammy.
He's clammy.
He's a bit clammy.
He's a bit too clammy.
He's slippery. If you hugged him, he would go.
Thanks, I hate it.
Why would you leave that boy is what we all wonder.
And I just think it's a very interesting conversation of how much employers expect like this loyalty from people. And then as soon as these employees get out the door, they're like, guys, they didn't even write the apology. How embarrassing is that?
I love it. I
love
it.
that. Hey, ex-employees continue to be narcs. Non-disparagements actually no longer hold up in a lot of states. Check your individual state, protect yourself. I don't know the case for other countries, but I also know that non-disparagements are not as common in other countries as well.
Yep.
That is a very American thing.
Yeah. And a lot of NDAs that you sign are just not enforceable. I mean, definitely go to a lawyer first, but most of them, they're not real. They're not real. Sign an if a company asks you to sign an NDA,
It's just a pinky promise.
sign it, but then you can talk shit.
Again,
Check with a lawyer
is
first.
non-legal advice.
Yeah, check with a lawyer first, but most of the time you can talk shit.
most of the time you can talk shit.
Hey, Saige. I want to talk about, since it's the scariest of months. I want to talk about the scariest game franchise and the scariest of months.
And it wasn't Gollum?
No, Gollum's game of the year, and he's a sweet boy, and we want to lick his eyeball. We are talking about Silent Hill.
Ooh. So a while back, we let you know when Silent Hill Ascension was released, and it was this very vague, like, ooh, what's it going to be? And then they were like, guys, it is not a game. It is not a game. It's
not a game.
Do not get excited. It's not a game.
It's not a game.
Which is devastating.
But it's also an interactive series.
We don't know what it is.
It's sort of, I mean, what it sounds like is it sounds like a Dark Pictures style.
It sounds like they're trying to Bandersnatch.
They're trying to Bandersnatch.
Because, like, I call all the Dark Pictures anthology games.
Yes.
Those are games.
Well, but here's the thing. Imagine you are, because I believe that Bad Robot is attached to this on some level. Imagine you are a fancy production company and you are not interested in games, but you are interested in the future of narrative entertainment.
That sounds like you're trying to make it a game when they literally keep yelling at us, please, it's not a game.
Well, but I would say, here's what's up. They're going to make a game, an interactive game, an interactive movie, right? And they're going to be like, not a game. It's a story that you control. That's not a game.
Bandersnatch is not a game. Would you agree?
Bandersnatch is,
The episode of Black Mirror, for those
Yeah.
who are not familiar, Bandersnatch was an episode of Black Mirror that through Netflix's UI was able to be like choose your own adventure style.
I think Bandersnatch is a game.
You would consider it a game.
Yeah, it's like a text adventure game. I would consider, because it's the video version of Choose Your Own Adventure, right? Choose Your Own Adventure books are books, but they are also games.
Now, I think there is a huge gap between Bandersnatch and Until Dawn.
Oh, there absolutely is.
So that's a wide spectrum. And if you want to put it on the game spectrum, that's fine. But I see us getting something on the Bandersnatch side and absolutely not something on the Until Dawn side.
But I mean, it's going to be more Bandersnatch, but I would say that there's also a wide gulf between Stick and Hoop and Settlers of Catan. But they're both games.
I'm fine with you calling them both games, but I don't want to, as somebody especially who loves Silent Hill, I don't want to be out here expecting Until Dawn and getting Bandersnatch.
No, and I don't want.
So I'm expecting Bandersnatch.
When I say it's like an Until Dawn thing, I'm not talking about quality. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what I think
there's
they're
a lot
doing.
more other aspects. You are controlling characters. You're moving around. Like Until Dawn is not just choosing making decisions. You know.
So they are saying it's episodic. They are saying that it's going to be interactive. They're going to say that viewers are going to vote to decide how parts of the story turn out. So it's going to be live streaming, and everybody votes, and based on everybody's decision, the story takes different forms.
Yeah.
You're right. It's more like a Bandersnatch, and if it's anything like Dark Pictures, it's more like the last one where Twitch viewers could actually vote and you didn't have to play the game. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I didn't play that one yet.
So it's kind of like that. I think it's interesting. I just want a Silent Hill game.
I also just want a Silent Hill game. And I'm hoping that this is, and we talked about this at the time when it was announced, which by the way, the release date is October 31st, so we'll be getting it very soon. My hope is that this is an attempt to reignite the Silent Hill fandom and to kind of test the waters for a new Silent Hill game. What I will say is I don't think that the results of that, if this is to like study the fandom, is going to be very effective because the people that will show up and play a game are going to be much higher than those who will show up for a Silent Hill Bandersnatch. I hope it doesn't perform poorly and then be the reason to justify not getting another Silent Hill game.
Well, the trick of something like this, like you're saying, is it's Silent Hill. So it's only really going to attract Silent Hill fans.
Yeah.
And it's immediately not what Silent Hill fans wanted or expected. So right now you've got an audience that's only going to be hardcore Silent Hill fans.
Yeah.
Unless they have some big announcement of casting, crew, something about
distribution, even
something that makes people go, something that makes like my mom go, how do I watch this horror thing that's coming out?
Right.
You know, and then she hears that it's Twitch and she goes, I don't know.
I wish like even if it had been, and I hate to say this, but even if it had been something that was with like Netflix or one of the other big streaming platforms that had done stuff like this, so it would have reach, just because like Twitch like is going to be pretty niche.
Well, and I don't know if it's even Twitch. It's going to be on the GenVid platform, I think. And one of the things that they're talking about is that there's an app that you buy, the GenVid app or something, and there's an in-app purchase.
They're specifically saying there will be no weird free-to-play monetization.
Well, that's what because they're saying, like, if you go to the quote that he's talking about later on, it's the CEO of GenVid said, like, hey, listen, all the episodes can be watched for free. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about weird free-to-play monetization. It's not a game. We don't sell magic swords. But he is saying that there is an in-app purchase. It's similar to Twitch channel perks and customization of the community viewing experience. We'll have puzzles you can do each day, chat emotes, stickers to unlock, et cetera, et cetera. So it's more like subscribing to Silent Hill as a show.
Which
on the GenVid app.
I still hate it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I know it's optional, but I wonder how much it's going to make I wonder how much it's going to affect my viewing experience. Is it going to be like you said, like, is it going to be like, if you're saying it's like Twitch, when you subscribe on Twitch, you don't get ads.
Right.
Is it going to be like that? I don't know.
That we don't know, but we do know that like, and the thing that I think about it is when this Silent Hill thing ends, when this series is over.
Yeah.
Am I going to watch another GenVid series? Do I pump money into this before, like...
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, they go under, or they don't make another show I want, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Are my stickers, am I buying just Silent Hill stickers for when I watch Silent Hill with people?
When you like rewatch the same series potentially, or are they saying there's going to be more of this? They already are in development for a Borderlands series as well, called Borderlands Echo Vision Live, and one set in the DC universe that we don't have any other information about yet.
We'll see. It's all going to depend on how Silent Hill goes.
I know, it really is.
Those could disappear real quick.
Yep.
It's interesting. Here's what I'm going to say. Even though I want a Silent Hill game, and this is not a new Silent,
please.
This is not the new Silent Hill game that I want. I do find the concept of community interactive horror or any sort of community interactive show.
Yeah.
I think is fun. I really like. I love the idea that they have a license like Silent Hill. I love the idea that they're apparently putting a lot of money and effort behind this thing.
Yeah.
And I think it could be very cool.
And what they're saying is it not only makes the decisions for this story, but that it shapes the Silent Hill canon forever, which is the thing that keeps making me think, well, you've got to make a game then to show us how it shapes it, right?
Yeah.
Or are they making a show potentially? There has to be a next piece of media
Well, we know
then that
that
shows us how it's affected.
We know that Silent Hill F, whatever that is coming. So, but when I think about affecting the canon forever, I think about when they said that Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was really going to affect Age of Ultron. And you had to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to understand Ultron.
And they didn't.
It's like, no. Like, they're going to throw a little something in.
Sure.
They're going to throw a little something in. And if you watch this show, when you play the next Silent Hill, whatever, you're going to be like, oh, that's from the show.
I'm down for that.
I'm down for it.
I'm down for that.
I don't like them making the big announcement of it's going to change the canon forever.
I kind of like it, actually.
Yeah?
I actually don't mind it. I think it's fun. I hope that it, like, simultaneously, I hope that it is significant so that people get to enjoy it. But if it was too significant also, I'm like, hey, don't let me write the show or don't let me write the game.
Yeah.
You'll write a better game than I will. I don't make Silent Hill. I don't think I'm going to make a better decision than the writers on a Silent Hill game.
I'll make a Silent Hill. Call me. Hey, Konami.
I just love Silent Hill. I recently replayed the Silent Hill games and I just want more. And I worry about Silent Hill F never coming. We know it's like an in development thing, but like when it's still just a code name, it promises us nothing. I don't consider anything a game until it's in my hands for the most part at this point.
When you replayed Silent Hill, did your opinions of Silent Hill 3 and 4 change?
I actually only did 1 and 2.
You did 1 and 2?
I did 1 and 2.
Okay.
I only did 1 and 2.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'm always very interested when people do a retelling. The show looks... We're showing some B-roll of the show right now.
Yeah, so this is the interactive thing. Show, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
People have been going back and forth in the chat about whether or not they think Bandersnatch is a game. Blade of Creation said, I would say Bandersnatch is not a game because it has no mechanics for the viewer other than choosing dialogue. But also, it's good and interesting art, so who gives a shit what it's called in the end? I agree. I love this interactive thing. I think it was really fun. They've done it for a couple of other shows. I know they did the episode of Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix and stuff like that. I think it's a fun, like, little gimmick.
Well, let me ask you, are Twine games?
What are Twine games?
Twine games are the interactive fiction, like the text games where you choose things and they take, because that's the thing, like, it doesn't have a lot of mechanics. That's why I compare it like to a stick and hoop or ball and cup.
Right.
Ball and cup does not have a lot of mechanics.
Yeah.
Ball and cup is a game.
Yeah.
There is a goal that you have to reach. And that goal is dependent on your choice or skill. That's a game. Bandersnatch is not the greatest game.
Sure.
But it is a game.
I'm fine with calling it a game.
Yeah, you do, I think, your decisions change what happened in Bandersnatch.
Naturally, I would call it a show or an interactive show, but I'm fine with calling it a game. I looked up even the definition of a video game, and it is a game played electronically, manipulating images produced by a computer program on a television screen or display screen. So by technical definition, it's a game. I would refer to it as a show, though.
Yeah.
That's how I would generally categorize it in my brain. Let's talk about more stuff.
Let's talk about more stuff. Let's discuss, while we're talking about game. Actually, what do we want to get to? I just blanked. Hey, I'm gonna be honest.
I was gonna say,
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I just blanked. I was thinking about ball and cup.
Yeah, just thinking too hard about ball and cup.
Man,
I mean, there's a lot of things
ball
in here.
and cup. At once?
Yeah, let's do the one last piece of like video game news.
Yeah, sure.
And then we're gonna get into some like movie and stuff.
I found this last night, and when I saw it, I said, "Ooh, this might be a little bit for Saige's, maybe."
There we go.
This is a game called Fantastic Haven.
Which I'm very excited about. This looks fantastic. So Fantastic Haven is described as like a Zoo Tycoon-like game, except there are dinosaurs of sorts.
Let's go ahead and roll that trailer.
I think it might already be rolling. I think we had it.
I think we're on the article right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and roll that trailer. It looks pretty good. But this is basically like a town building, zoo building game, but with magical creatures.
I love it.
That's
I
all.
love it.
It's magical creatures instead.
Yeah, so not quite Jurassic Park, but it's in because it's like fantasy creatures, essentially.
Yeah.
They're dinosaur-like creatures in there, but fantasy creatures. I think that's very fun. I love a Zoo Tycoon.
See that little baby griffin?
I did see that little baby griffin. That was a great baby griffin. He's Griffin.
He's Griffin. I love the Jurassic Park, the park builder
Yeah.
game. Oh, that was really good. I like we've discussed our different, like you love a town building,
I love a management sim.
a management sim. I don't love every kind of management sim, but I do love building, like there's something about a theme park tycoon or a Zune tycoon that I love because I think it's just like, it's an environment that, I don't know what it is actually, because I was gonna say it's an environment that I wouldn't normally get to build, but it's the same thing when you talk about all these like little cozy
Farm
sims
and
with
whatever.
farms and stuff.
Yeah, there is a very different feeling between something like a Harvest Moon and something like a Zoo Tycoon. Very, very different. I put Zoo
Look at that
Tycoon,
terraforming.
like Zoo Tycoon hits the same place in my brain as Age of Empires and not as Harvest Moon.
Yes.
It's a very different kind of management sim. I always enjoyed the tycoon games because I enjoy the feedback. And as your local communist, I am also capitalism's bravest little soldier that just like absolutely loves the good feedback of tiny fictional capitalism, telling me I did a good job for my park guests. I love to watch the number go up of the fictional money. It hits something in my brain that is my deepest shame. Truly and honestly. I wish that it didn't, but I have been playing business management sims as long as I can remember. I recently went back and I was looking for it because there was a Disney website game called Hot Shot Business that was my favorite fucking web-based browser game, and it was just about running successful businesses. And you could run a skateboard shop.
Business.
You could run a skateboard shop. You could run like a couple of other things, like a pet grooming, whatever. And there were all of these different businesses that you can run. And all it was literally Hot Shot Business. Like it was literally a capitalism simulator of running and owning a business. And for some reason, there is something in me that gets so deeply addicted to those games. And I'm literally a communist. It's crazy.
But that's why we're here today in this studio. Because
is this an intervention?
this is no. I'm saying this is you doing your management sim in real life.
Oh yeah, I'm doing my little Disney web-based Hot Shot Business.
Whenever there's a big decision to make in the company, Saige and Kaylee sit down and they go, "What would they do in Hot Shot Business?"
Yep.
I think the reason I like them more than something like a Stardew Valley or a Harvest Moon is I like to set up the little diorama and let it run.
Yeah.
I like to set up the little, like when you set up the zoo or the theme park and you set it up right, you can just sit back and watch it. I like to set up the simulation and let it run and watch people have fun in the little simulation, you know? I mean, you're like, no, you can't just let it run.
No,
it requires
optimize.
constant, it requires constant.
You have to optimize. You could be improving it. You could be making
this
the little
says,
people happier.
This says that you can, so this is made by Goblins Publishing. They said there are some city building elements, but it's basically building a refuge for adorable creatures. You can bring creatures back to the refuge and rehabilitate them, place them in proper quarantine structures, then move them into a sanctuary with other compatible creatures and their biotope while keeping them sequestered from others. When the time is right, set them back into the wild, helping to restore their magic to the world.
I love it. I can't wait to play it. Somebody who came in late was asking what this game is. This is called Fantastic Haven.
You can also send out scouting parties to survey points of interest and to find creatures in need. But even more interestingly, you can negotiate with hostile populations using diplomacy to form strong ties and train your citizens to properly care for the fantastical creatures as well.
That's a fantastic additional mechanic that makes it so interesting.
This game is due in early access next year.
Q2 2024, it says on Steam.
It's only going to be PC, but it will be available on Steam, and you can wishlist it right now.
Very exciting. That feels like far away. And then every time I'm like, whoa, a game not coming out until Q2 2024. I remember, that's kind of soon.
You know what else? Well, you know what Marvel would like you to think is kind of soon? The Fantastic Four movie.
Wouldn't they love if I thought that with each new director that they attach to it and then suddenly and mysteriously departs?
Now, Matt Shakman is in charge of it right now. Matt Shakman, of course, was in charge of Moon Knight and has written a bunch of other stuff for Marvel.
The Fantastic Four is like a mysterious widow. You know, like a really wealthy widow.
Like we've heard of the Fantastic Four, but she lives up on a hill.
No, like she had all of these husbands that just tragically passed away.
There's also that too.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four has had so many writers, so many directors, so many people that really, the Fantastic Four gave it its best go. And it is just heartbreaking that unfortunately each of them had an incurable heart condition.
I mean, it's no Blade and it's certainly no Star Wars movie yet.
But it has up there.
It is up there.
Because there's this iteration since the last huge Disney earnings call when they formally announced the Fantastic Four. And then there was 100 iterations before this since the last one where they've talked about doing a Fantastic Four and never successfully gotten the team together to do it.
We're looking pretty close now. They said that that the cast has been locked, but they cannot announce it until after the strike is over, obviously.
Of course.
And they're looking to film in spring of 2024, right when, just a couple months after your Fantastic Haven comes out.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, not that long from now. Weird. I say all of this because I have a very distinct memory. There are just some stories that are burned into my brain that we've done on the show, and I can picture when they were, and we'll come back to that. And I can picture us talking about the Fantastic Four on It's Too Early in 2020 when the first room that we shot in was still gray. We had not painted the walls yet. Yeah. That's how long we've been talking about the Fantastic Four movie.
That's right. That's right. I mean, these things are always in development for a very, very long time. But, lately, these connected universes love to announce their timelines.
Yeah.
And I think they announce their timelines too aggressively and too early. And
there were a couple of follow-up stories that we had to do that were like, oh, okay, another delay. Oh, okay, another reason that this is happening. Oh, okay, they've lost another person attached to it. And I remember us sitting and speculating, being like, it's going to happen, right, though? They're not going to abandon the Fantastic Four on us again, right?
I love the Fantastic Four. I love the Fantastic Four. Some of my favorite characters in Marvel, some of my favorite stories.
We've also been told repeatedly that we're the only fans of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, and I mean, that's cool. It's fine. We're cool with that.
That it's a bunch of middle-aged dads and us. Yeah. For some reason. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that says about us. But anyways, this is the thing that gives me the most hope. Having a filming date is pretty promising.
I was looking up and I was like, who was it that was originally attached before Shakman? And it was John Watts, who made the Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
Which I think would have been really good.
Yeah.
But I think Shakman is also very good and will bring a different tone to it.
This still feels promising to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Whenever I think about it, I talk about this all the time, but I think about Peyton Reed. I think about Peyton Reed, who of course went on to do the Ant-Man movies. But when Fox owned the Fantastic Four, he was in talks to do the Fantastic Four movie, and he wanted to set it in the 60s.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do it as a Hard Day's Night with the Fantastic Four. A documentary crew is following the Fantastic Four around on the day Galactus attacks.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's such a brilliant idea for a film. And whoever's making the Fantastic Four, Matt Shakman, why not use some elements of that?
This is the second time you've referenced A Hard Day's Night in a week.
Whoa. Think about that. Think about that.
I'm thinking about it. We have so many more news stories.
Here's what I want to say.
10 minutes left.
This is what I want to end with.
Yeah. I figured you might. When I talk about picturing very specifically the memory.
Did you picture that apple? Y'all got that apple in your head? Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. They've been holding an apple in their head
And right then,
for
you
90
had to
minutes.
check. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying when I specifically picture us like sitting in that room and what that room looked like when we talked about the Fantastic Four on this show for the first time, that's because I see pictures in my brain. And I guess our question for you guys is, do you see pictures in your brain? Could you picture the apple? Can you picture our old set? Anthony, can you picture our old set?
No. But I mean, I know what our old set looked like.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Aphantasia.
Yeah, something we've known about for a while. Something I think we've even talked about on the show before.
But apparently, John Green just discovered aphantasia. The fact that Hank and John Green are brothers sometimes cracks me up.
Hilarious, honestly.
But if you look at this tweet from John Green that I have on my screen right here, this blew my mind when I first figured it out too.
Yeah.
And it was only a few years ago that I figured this out. When people say, picture this in your head, I thought the same thing. I thought it was a metaphor. Picture it in your head. Okay, I'm thinking about it. I'm imagining the situation. But no, when I found out people actually see fucking objects in their heads,
Yeah.
I lost it. I'm angry. I want to know why I can't picture things in my head. If I could picture things in my head, well, here's why. I'd probably never do anything.
Yeah.
If I had a rich visual internal memory, I would just sit with my eyes closed all day. You can just picture things in your head and you get things done.
Yeah.
Why? Why not just sit at home and imagine like you're on a spaceship?
Here's what I'll say is I don't passively see images in my head, but if I think of something, I can see it. It doesn't mean I'm going to see it every time I think of it. And it doesn't mean that like there are just pictures floating in my brain throughout the day. I'm not just randomly picturing something. But when I'm thinking about something and I'm like trying to plan out a set, I can see what I'd like the set to look like in my brain. And I can like move objects around in them. So I would say on this scale that we have here, I got to be a 1, I think, a 1 or a 2.
You're a 1?
Either a 1 or a 2. Well, it depends because like when I think about it, I'm like, well, I don't necessarily picture it in that much detail, but if I try to, I can. You know what I mean? Like if I were to just picture an apple, I'm choosing what reference point of apple I'm thinking of.
Sure.
And my automatic brain thing probably pictured a cartoon apple, but then I'm like, oh no, make it a real apple. And then I can see the real apple.
Huh.
You know?
Huh. Like, this is wild to me. I'm a 5. Occasionally, if I put forth the most effort I can,
Yeah. You can get a 4.
I might be able to get a 4 on a
Okay.
good day. But I'm a 5. If you tell me picture this, I'm like, all right, I'm thinking about it. And like, I daydreamed all the time when I was a kid, but my daydreams aren't visual.
That's so interesting to me too, because I think so much of it affects like looking back at like my childhood where it's like, I never would have said this on the internet until I got one other person that talked about it, of like being a kid, staring out the window of a car and picturing yourself running as fast, like trying to like keep up with the car.
Yeah. I used to do that too, but I couldn't see it.
Fascinating. How do you do it if you can't?
I would just sort of like imagine the concept of it, I guess. I couldn't see me doing it.
Like you can.
But I used to imagine me on the highway jumping from street lamp to street lamp next to the car. But I would imagine it.
I don't understand what the difference is. You know what I mean?
I don't get the visual.
Like it's not like if I'm looking at the street and I'm trying to picture myself, I have a projection of myself on it.
No, but if you closed your eyes, you'd be able to see yourself doing it.
Yeah, I guess.
I would just look at it with my eyes open and imagine it, but then if I closed my eyes, I wouldn't see anything. So eyes open, we're equal.
Yeah, eyes open, we're equal.
Hey, eyes open, we're equal. I was going to start a poll, but I can't.
What?
I wanted to see the average 1 through 5. Alonzo, I want to see what
Can we get a 1 through 5 poll? Or I believe Britt is here as well. I don't have to default to putting that on you, Alonzo. I'm sorry.
So people are asking.
I just usually yell you to make polls. I'm sorry.
Is it imagining the concept of a thing instead of the actual, or it is imagining the concept of the thing instead of the actual thing? Yes.
Yeah, I guess. I think throughout the day, most of the time, I'm imagining the concept of the thing, but I absolutely can imagine the image.
So if you're a 1, that's hyperphantasia.
Is it?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, it's like how I'm on one side and I'm aphantasic, which means I don't see anything. You're hyperphantasic, which means you see a lot of things compared to most people.
Interesting. I don't know, because I mean, in the middle, there's people that like, I don't understand the difference between 1 and 2, really. I guess it's the level of detail. But I wonder if this is like on average or what people are just like capable of, you know?
Yeah.
I'm so curious. I don't know.
All the mods are on mobile. Everything's crashing down around us.
All mods are on mobile. Oh well. I guess just I'm logged in. Hold on. I can do it.
I just logged in. Everything's gonna be okay.
I can do it.
You do it then.
Because you have to get a code and I can't give you the code right now.
I already got the code. I'm logged in.
How?
Can you
do it as you're a mod.
I'm not logging in as Pixel Circus. Don't let me do that.
I don't.
I'll break it.
I don't let you do that.
I know. I'll fucking break it.
We have an 18-step security process. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Anthony's going to run the poll. So, yeah, I see everything in my head very vividly. It makes my nightmares fucking terrifying. Yeah. So, are your dreams visual?
My dreams are incredibly vivid. And that's one of the reasons I love dreams so much. And one of the reasons I hate that I don't dream as often as I used to.
Can you replay them visually?
Not visually, but I can remember them.
I can see my dreams. If I remember them. A lot of the time I don't remember my dreams, but I can play them back if I choose to. I'd like to ask Alex. Alex, where do you fall on the 1 to 5?
I am very visual, I think, but I'm probably more of the 2 usually.
A 2?
I also have very vivid dreams.
Now remember, everybody, the 1 is the most visual and the 5 is a nothing.
Yeah.
I was looking at some articles here, and I kind of relate to some of them that talk about hearing things, because it isn't just, like seeing things. There are whole other scales. And I play things back pretty frequently when I hear things. So like
Same.
The way someone said something or like a tone of voice, that is very vivid for me.
I can hear, so here's the thing, I don't see anything, but my thoughts are kind of vocal. Like I have sub-vocalization. So I can hear my thoughts sometimes, or my thoughts, even though I can't physically hear them, that my brain picks them up as like, this is audio, even if I'm not hearing it. And so I have issues if somebody's talking or something's playing, or particularly if there are 2 things going on at once, I can't hear my thoughts. And I know you've noticed that, where I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't.
Sometimes my brain will, if I'm already doing something and somebody is talking at me, it'll just be on a delay. It'll like take it in and hold it for a second and then release it to me. So I'll be like, I'm hearing it.
I'm processing
it. Okay. Hello. Yes.
I want you to know that in the poll, 45% of the BBs.
That was a very short poll.
Are 45% of the BBs are number 1. Okay. They are hyperphantasic.
Okay.
Very few
there's
people.
A quiz to take to learn how much. Can you link us to the quiz? I'm gonna put it in the Discord. Or if you want to just throw it into the Discord, actually, that would be great.
So one of the things that they talk about is how things work when it comes to aphantasia. And Austin Kleon wrote this article. He's a writer who's written a few very good books about creativity. His partner, his wife, is an architect, very visual, right? Like, but she's aphantasic.
Yeah.
And he says when she is doing things like rearranging the room, he immediately goes, couch won't fit there, that won't work. She pushes things around.
Yes.
Has to push things around because she doesn't see them in her head. And he's like, and because of that, she comes up with a lot more novel ideas about the arrangement of things than I do, but it takes her longer.
One of the things that's so interesting to me is like, and we've talked about this before, we've referenced, the one that always baffles me is Gina DeVivo. We love Gina DeVivo in this house, and Gina DeVivo is one of the most creative people I've ever met in my whole life. Also aphantasic. The thing that I would have such a hard time trying to imagine how to do is things like improvised character descriptions.
Yeah.
So when you're there, and let's say it's one of those scenes where Vince sits us down and is like, okay, you're going to a fancy ball. what does your outfit look like, you know? And for me, that process kind of looks like the like Cinderella spinning into her dress transformation.
Yeah.
And I'm letting my brain just kind of run and picture something, and then I'm describing, like, it's not a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking. I just let my brain picture something, and then I describe what I saw, essentially.
I think the thing with it is, like, when I'm doing character or outfit description, like, you'll notice, like, a lot of times when we were doing failed save, about half the time I would need to be prompted. Sometimes it would be like, well, what does that look like? What is he wearing? What is he, describe your outfit. Because it wouldn't occur to me, first of all, to describe it.
Yeah.
But then when I'm asked to describe my outfit, it, because I don't picture it, I just think of like what the general idea of it is and start describing it until it becomes more clear to me.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really, and I think like I was a visual arts kid. I was in AP art classes and I studied illustration before I got into what I do. And I think it's because like I want to see these things. I have these ideas.
Yeah.
I want to know what they look like.
I
want
cannot
to put
draw.
them in the world.
I find it infuriating to try and draw because I can see it in my brain and I cannot make it look like that.
Yeah.
I find like drawing absolutely infuriating for me as someone who does not have the skill and like never learned the skill of art in any way. Like I have no natural ability and I never learned the both of it. And
I've done everything I can.
I've done everything I can. But you know what I mean? Like it's a combination. If I haven't, like I never took really art classes.
Yeah.
And I don't have any natural inclination to like visual mediums of art like that. Or like hand anything drawn. So when I try to draw, I get so frustrated. And I think it's part of why I never pursued getting better at it because I can picture it in my brain so clearly. And why can't I just do that?
Yeah.
Like I should be able to essentially trace the thing that I could like see on the paper and I can't do it. And that's infuriating to me.
And maybe that's the reason, I don't know, maybe that is the reason I stuck with it is because if you can picture it in your head and you can't draw it, there's that frustration of like, not being able to play an instrument when you know what you want the music to sound like. You know, there's a lot of stuff like that. I can picture myself like dancing like this, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
I think maybe if I had been able to picture things so perfectly, maybe I would have gotten frustrated a little more when I was a kid by drawing. But because I couldn't see it in my head, it was like I had no choice.
Right.
And so I just kept going and going. Somebody asked in the live studio audience if Gina is a 5 like me, and I don't know if we know exactly her level.
Know. No, I don't know.
We don't know her
that
level.
She said she doesn't have pictures.
Yeah.
That was the extent of the conversation. We'll have to, I'm going to inquire because I'm very, very curious. But it is interesting. I think that like the way that she describes things in game, and she's the reason that I reference Gina specifically in this is because like Gina's character descriptions and like she's also an artist. She did all of the character art for Failed Save. Her descriptions are so vivid and beautiful in game, and that's one of her like really wonderful special skills as a player. That it's like, wow, when Gina describes a scene, I see it.
And I think
to think Gina doesn't see it.
Yeah, and maybe that's why she has to describe it in such details because it's like I can't picture it. I think in terms of you not being able to picture it, let me make sure I describe it perfectly.
Yeah.
So we all understand it.
But it also makes sense when you picture her like talking with her hands, with the way that she describes things, how much she uses her hands in it. I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I think it's very cool.
It's weird. It's weird, and it blew my mind when I figured out that it was not a metaphor.
Yeah.
It was not a metaphor when people saw. I think it's all very interesting. Somebody mentioned the artist curve. I think of it as like the old Ira Glass video about taste. One of the reasons you get into the arts is you have taste and you know what's good. But when you start making things, you can't make what's good.
Yeah.
And you know it's not good because you have good taste.
Right.
It either frustrates you or you sort of rise to meet that challenge. Improvement in painting. Wow. There it is.
What does it say?
That's a subway map. Ability to see. Actual technical skill is blue. Yellow is perceived technical skill. And green circles are periods of frustration. And I love that because it does show that like, even as your skill is going up, there are moments where your skill is going up where you think you're getting worse.
Yeah.
Where you think you're just getting worse.
Right. How interesting.
There are moments where you think you can see an apple in your brain, but the more you try, the less you see apple. And then you give yourself migraine and you have to sleep a little bit. Little sleepy times.
And that's our takeaway from today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we do the show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at exactly 9 a.m. Pacific. If it is not 9 a.m., when we start streaming where you are, don't say anything because you're wrong.
No, just start a riot.
Just, hey, just check your clocks.
Just start a riot.
Hang out for a
in the
minute.
streets.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
Probably.
We're there at 9.
We're there at 9 every day.
Don't even worry about it.
Thank you to everybody who supported us during the show today. This show is free and available to everyone. Even the VODs. We don't even subgate the VODs, baby.
Whoa.
You can go and you can watch it on YouTube, youtube.com/Pixel Circus for free as well if you prefer the YouTube viewing experience, or you can catch us live. You can also go to patreon.com/Pixel Circus to support the show, keeping the literal lights on at this point. Remember when we used to say the metaphorical lights on?
Yeah.
In the studio?
No, now we have a lot of
we have
studio
literal
lights.
lights to keep on, which
Yeah.
is way more expensive than the metaphorical ones. And you get a bonus clip from It's Too Early every week. What did we talk about this week?
Oh, the Fat Bear.
Fat Bear Week!
It's Fat Bear Week,
Oh my
baby.
God. How could I ever forget? I was introduced for the first time to Fat Bear Week and we reviewed all of the beautiful fat bears.
That's right.
So if you haven't watched that clip yet, it is up on the Patreon and I think it is excellent. I think that's quality content.
It is quality content.
You can also do things like subscribe to the channel. You
love that.
You get to not view ads. You get to be nice to us.
You get a little taller.
You get a little bit taller.
You get a little bit taller every time you
Bones get
subscribe.
stronger. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to thank everybody who did that. But first,
But first, Saige,
what up?
what's your life like? What do you got going on?
You know, my streams are going to be a little bit all over the place this week because we are in prep for a big secret project at Pixel Circus, but you can find me everywhere on the internet at NotSage, including on Twitch.
You can find me everywhere online at Carboni, except for here on Twitch, where I'm at Anthony Carboni, and we are in the middle of the Impossible Spider Marathon.
Woo!
We're trying to play through every Spider-Man game, as many as we can, in historic order until Spider-Man 2 comes out for the PS5. We just got through what I call the Gauntlet of LJN, the worst of the worst, for the Game Boy and the NES, and now we are starting to play some of the all-time club bangers that people really love, including Maximum Carnage, which we are playing today on my channel. So go check that out.
How exciting.
Hey,
Alex, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Alder_Mancy. I don't have any streams coming up this week, but I did have an exciting announcement come out today, actually, which is I am working with Jay Dragon and Tony from Plus One EXP on a new zine series called Motley, which is going to be bringing divergent voices in the TTRPG creation community together, and I'm going to be doing some project management and support on that.
That's cool. Is there anywhere people can keep up with that yet?
Right now, if you want to go to @JDragski on Twitter, you can find the announcement, and you can go to the Plus One EXP website if you want to support it. The RPG Zine Club is the initial launch, and then Motley is going to be coming after.
Awesome. That's
so
great.
exciting.
Very cool.